today. Welcome to our Molina Animal Care, or welcome to our online academy. We're going to be focusing a lot on our Molina Animal Care Center today. This happens to be Shark Lagoon, which is equally exciting. But our focus today is going to be on animal health care. So that's going to be our focus of discussion today. Once again, my name's Jen, and joining me in the studio is James, who's behind me, showing a lovely Shark Lagoon at the moment. And then we also have Stacy answering and also delivering some of those questions to our studio. So, super excited to have you all join us. If you do have any questions as we discuss animal health care today, please feel free to text us at 562-286-1838. And if you happen to be watching it on a not Thursday at 2 o'clock in the Pacific Standard Time in the afternoon, then not a worry, because there is a email that you can email your questions to, and that is a little bit further down below at live@lbaop.org, and we'll be happy to be able to answer those questions for you too. All right, so animal healthcare. As you can see here, we have some sharks in our lovely Shark Lagoon and some fish too. But if we think about caring for animals, do any of you have any animals at home? Might not have these animals, but maybe you might own fish. I know I had a freshwater fish tank for a while that I absolutely adored. But do you have any maybe other kinds of pets too, aside from maybe fish? I have 2 cats. Maybe you have some animals as well, right? Now try to think about what it takes to be able to take care of those animals. What are some things that you do to take care of those animals? Let's think about it for a while. I know my cat, my smaller one, Porcini, she always makes sure to let me know that she is wanting food in her bowl, even if I had just put food in her bowl a few minutes ago. So definitely feeding is very important. I know for at least my cat, I give it lots of good fresh water, so that way it never feels thirsty. For these fish, don't have to worry so much about the drinking of water, though maybe their water quality might be important if you happen to have fish. So making sure, all of those water quality parts are good to go. Well, I know that my cats also go to the bathroom, right? So I kind of have to clean up after them in their litter box. For fish, you actually can kind of either filter it out through the water quality, or maybe it gets dropped into the sand and you have to use almost like a little vacuum to be able to get that out. Let's see. I like to play with my cats, right? I like to make sure that they are feeling mentally stimulated, that they're feeling good about their lives and enjoying and are happy, right? We do the same thing for animals here, right? Having them feeling healthy and mentally stimulated too. So let's see, is there anything else? Yes. Just making sure that their overall behavior is their normal selves, right? There are times when I know that my cat is going to be really excited and awake, and there are times when I know that my cat might be taking a cat nap or a very long nap, and I understand the personalities and the behaviors of my animals. Well, guess what? We do that here at the aquarium too, right? So similar things to what you might do at home to take care of your pets, same thing here. Now here at the aquarium, they definitely have more than well, I don't think they have any cats here, though we used to have an honorary one named Topaz. But aside from that, here at the aquarium, we have over 12,000 animals. Yeah, right? That's a lot of animals to take care of. Now, fortunately, it's not just one person that takes care of the animals, but there's an entire department here at the aquarium that's dedicated to that. And those would be our animal husbandry department. Now, the Molina Animal Care Center is one area that they kind of work alongside with our veterinary staff, which are also part of our husbandry department. Now, within those 12,000 animals, we have lots of fish. We have bony fish. We have cartilaginous fish like sharks and rays. We also have birds. So we have our lorikeets, our penguins, our shorebirds. We have tons of invertebrates. So, sea stars, sea cucumbers, anemones, corals, right? We have so many of them. And so it's a lot of different animals to take care of within our husbandry department. fortunately, we do have some of folks that do kind of specialize in one area or another and make that their focus. And so, those that tend to work with the birds are going to be the aviculturists. Those that work with our mammals are going to be more of our mammalogists that take care of our seals, sea lions, otters. And then we also have our aquarists, and those are the folks that take care mainly of our birds, as well as, or I'm sorry, not birds, when they mainly take care of our fish, as well as invertebrates too. And so there are definitely certain groups where folks tend to focus in on taking care of one type of animal versus another. Our Molina Animal Care Center that we have back here takes care of all of our in-house animals. It's kind of like our animal hospital and our animal kind of checkup center, right? Here at the aquarium, we do try to strive for the best possible life for our animals, as they are ambassadors to not only our oceans, to give you a sneak peek into that world, but also to our land, as we do know that our land and our oceans are connected. So we do have some land animals here as well, which is really cool that we can see that connection and understand how even we as humans can affect our oceans in that way. Now, within our Molina Animal Care Center, though, not only is it a spot where, folks can take a peek in through these windows to see some medical procedures, but we also do wellness exams too. Much like how we go to the doctor to make sure that we are happy and healthy once a year, same thing for our ocean animals too. We like to do a lot of preventative care as much as possible. Now, here's a little peek into our animal hospital so you can get a chance to see. That's a separate room over there, but here you can see our vet tech staff. There's our medical cabinets, right? The medicine cabinets where it gets all weighed out. We have specialized water that we use to make sure that's extra pure for if we need to dilute a medicine or add it in. We have lots of workstations for our vet staff here. And right back over here, we have our exam table. And there's a little light up there. And there's a camera inside that actually provides kind of like a veterinary eye view that is then focused out into the outside of our Molina Animal Care Center. So this is just one of the several rooms that we have inside of our care center right here. I'll step back to the side so you can get a chance to see it. And so this is just a little peek, and you can see outside the window right there where our public are viewing in. We always like to showcase our different procedures and things that are happening within our Molina Animal Care Center, because we believe that it's important for guests to be able to kind of see what's going on as well. So there's the outside again of that care center. Now, Gigi did ask, what do we mean by the term husbandry? And that's a great question, as I didn't necessarily define that term, right? I just talked about husbandry as a way to be able to be caretakers of our animals. And so husbandry is just a term that's kind of known to be a caretaker, to husband, to take care of. And so this term, can be used for ocean animals or land animals, but it's just a broad umbrella term for those that take care of animals. So thank you, Gigi, for asking. Hopefully that answered your question. Now, as I mentioned before, we do try to focus on preventative measures, right? So making sure that we are observing all the different kinds of animals that are just moving around in our exhibits. Now, that might mean just taking some time to watch and see the animals, watch their daily behaviors. Believe it or not, some animals maybe have particular areas within an exhibit that they prefer. Maybe they have certain movements that they do within their particular exhibit. All animals are very different, and when our staff gets a chance to really look into those exhibits that they specialize in, they are then able to really kind of get to know the animals that are in there. And so that's one way that they can kind of take that preventative measure. Now, as they're also kind of watching behaviors, they're also looking at physical features of that particular animal as well, right? Do all, like for instance, for fish, are all of their fins, do they look like they're all intact? What does their body look like? Do their scales look like they're happy and healthy? Are their colors vibrant? Those are some things to kind of consider. Now, some animals may be very tricky, right? Maybe they don't want to send off any kind of vibes that they aren't doing well, as that might show a sign of weakness. And so that's where a lot of the wellness exams truly come into play, and also the excellent care that our staff give them, our husbandry staff give them. And so talking about husbandry staff, we got a question about what are the different branches of the husbandry department and how does one branch's work affect the other? All right, so that's a good question because some of them have multiple species within our exhibits. Like, for instance, our shorebirds. It not only has birds, but it also has a lot of flatfish in there. It has some rays as well. And then our otter exhibit. That's another really good one, as that happens to not only have our otters, but it has fish living in there too. And so with that, there is some crossover between training and so there is that does tend to occur, but overall it's they're able to kind of oversee the overall health of that exhibit. So here's a great picture of another large exhibit, right? This is the largest exhibit here at the aquarium, where it's the fish, and then we also have sharks in there too, and we even have a sea turtle, right? So there are many different species. And for exhibits that are this large or can have multiples, there's also several different husbandry staff that are there as well to kind of help get a feel. So it's not just one person that's managing this entire exhibit itself. There are several folks. And many times, I mean, this is like a every day, all day job, right? So not only do these husbandry folks observe our animals, but they're also the ones that pick up the poop of the seals and sea lions, or, oh, there's a ray. They're the ones that oversee feeding and help feeding and keeping track of the animal's health and well-being. They're also the ones to do scrubbing within the exhibits too. They do have volunteers to help, but they do all different aspects of that health care. And so many times they write down logs, and that's how they're able to kind of communicate with each other. And there's overlap too of staff. And so, for instance, there might be someone that's Sunday through, I don't know, Thursday or something like that. And then there's other staff that may be like, covering from Friday and Saturday or something along those lines. And so there's coverage of different exhibits as well. So that way, everyone knows what's going on with all the animals, with log books, with meetings that occur. And so there's a lot of communication and tracking that goes on. So hopefully that answers your question there. We got another question about what does the animal husbandry department do to treat abnormal behaviors of animals? Great minds think alike, because that is a great question, right? So some of it really kind of depends. So if they do realize that there's an abnormal behavior, what they could do is they could take that animal off exhibit and they can get a chance to take a look at it. They might be able to, once they get it nice and close up in maybe like a quarantine exhibit or, something that's behind the scenes, they can then get a chance to see, hey, is that animal acting oddly because of another animal? Is it acting oddly because it seems to have a growth on it, Or is it acting oddly because I see that there's something fuzzy on the side that's growing on that particular fish? And so this allows the staff to be able to get a closer look and assess the fish's health from there. Maybe it's eating properly, maybe it's not. These are some things that they can get a better idea once they have that fish set aside. Now from there, if it is a fish, there could be several different ways to treat it. Maybe what they could do is they can, feed it a little bit of medicine that way, maybe in food form, and it can ingest it and internalize it there. Maybe it's immersed in a bath, so they might put the medication in the water, make sure that's evenly dissolved, and then the fish can swim through it and absorb it through its skin, through its gills, and just be, have a nice little medicine bath there. Otherwise, they can also get injected as well. So maybe, it's a specialized area and they need to put this particular medicine and they need to put a needle and inject it into the fish. But those are some different ways that medicine can be given to a fish. Now, there are surgeries that can be done too, which is pretty interesting. You're like, wait, surgery on a fish? Do tell. Now here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, we have a very special way in which we do surgeries on fish. Actually, I'm going to have maybe James bring up a video that shows kind of the overall procedure of how they get a fish from the bucket onto into surgery. Now, just to kind of talk that process on over, much of that happens where they have the fish in water and they sprinkle some anesthesia powder in to get the fish all nice and sleepy. Once they have that fish all sleepy, they'll put it into kind of like, I don't know, I can imagine something that like holds tacos, that's just like that has like, basically it's a groove down the middle and there are two sides that hold it up. Here we go. All right, so here we have the sprinkling of the powder, and that's the anesthesia powder. Then we have the fish that gets put in, and then it swims around and it slowly gets sleepy. It's sleepy. And so once this fish is sleepy, it then goes on ahead and gets put into almost like a little tray. And with that tray, they're then able to keep the fish nice and moist. And they take that same anesthesia water and they put a tube and they put it into the mouth of the fish. And as that anesthesia water, goes into the mouth of the fish, it coats over their gills. And that's how a fish is able to go to sleep. So here's another example here of an eel that's getting prepped. Now you can see what I mean? It could kind of hold tacos. And now that procedure that's occurring, I'm going to get off screen so you can get a chance to watch. Here we have Dr. Lance Adams, one of our veterinarians, that's slowly pulling away back some of the skin of our eel. But it should be too graphic. And so with that eel, it went ahead and had a growth on it, and the veterinarian was able to kind of slice away at that growth to then have it able to then allow it to be able to get that growth out and then stitch it back up. Now during that time, you might have seen it had kind of a cloth layer on top of it to keep it nice and moist, and it had that tube that was in its mouth that was flowing over the water. And so that's one example right there of a fish surgery. Now Malia is asking, does the aquarium do any rescues of wild animals, then rehabilitate and release? Well, that was a great question, because here at the aquarium, though we do go on ahead and we focus our animal health care on the animals within the aquarium, our veterinarian, or one of our veterinarians, because we do have several here on staff, focuses on the rehabilitation of sea turtles. So we normally don't take animals from the wild to within our facility to rescue and rehabilitate, but sea turtles are a special exception. And so we don't do the rescuing part. Usually rescue organizations or Fish and Wildlife or NOAA will be the ones to rescue said sea turtle, and they might bring it over to our facility if we happen to be one of the closer ones for sea turtle rehabilitation. And we'll go on ahead and we'll get a chance to rehabilitate a sea turtle. Maybe it just seems really slow, right? Maybe it's not exactly in the area that it needs to be and it's feeling really cold and it needs to warm up, right? And so we might be the best facility to be able to warm that sea turtle up to get it to be happy and healthy. Now, we'll hold on to the sea turtle until the ocean conditions are just right, and when they are, we can then release that sea turtle back into the wild. And so that's just one example of a story of sea turtles and how we're able to rehabilitate and then put it back out in the wild. Now, there are other organizations that also go on ahead and do other kinds of rescue and rehabilitation. But before I get into that, this is a really cool release. I'm going to step out of the view so that way you can see it real quick. But there we have our veterinary staff, and there's a sea turtle right there, and it's slowly being released. And you can see, looks like a little lump, but there you go. See that sea turtle swimming all back out, nice and happy and healthy. Isn't that cool? That's a great video. Thanks for sharing. So that's just one story here at the aquarium in which we're able to release our sea turtle after being able to rehabilitate them. So Malia, thanks for asking that question. Now, we touched a little bit upon how we might take care of fish, but let's move over to our cartilaginous friends, right? Sharks, because here we saw Shark Lagoon a little bit ago. So how do we get a chance to see whether or not our sharks are happy and healthy? What if, maybe one of our sharks is getting pregnant or is pregnant and wants to give birth? How does one even go about doing a checkup on a large animal such as a shark? Now, many of our sharks within Shark Lagoon, like our black tip reef sharks, the ones with like the black tips on the dorsal and the side fins or the pectoral fins, those ones are, are the ones that we mainly have within our Shark Lagoon currently. And so what does that healthcare procedure look like? How do you get them from that large exhibit all the way to getting them out of the water to check them out, to see if they are happy or healthy? Let's go ahead and look at this video real quick. I'll move out of the way again. And as you can see, we have a large tub and we have a shark that's in the water right back there. And we put on a grate and then a nice mat, and we have a few of our husbandry staff inside with a large stretcher. And then, oh, they went ahead and they put that shark right there. Now, much like they might not have anesthesia water, but that water is going to be that same seawater that then pumps it over their gills to make sure that they stay breathing, right? That they are, because they are literally out of water. And so they're able to use that stretcher back behind me to be able to maneuver the shark in a very safe way and be able to handle them, right? So you see, we have lots of different husbandry staff that are all around in wetsuits, of course, and they're able to then get a chance to see whether or not the shark is healthy and doing well. And so that's how we're able to get our sharks out of that water to be able to get a better look. Now, Amelia is asking, how many fish species do we care for here at the aquarium? Yeah, because we only had we had a little bit of a peek into our tropical gallery, but we do have galleries within our northern Pacific as well as Southern California, or SoCal Baja as well. So we have a ton of different fish. We have close to about 500 species of fish. That's a lot of fish. Yeah, so our husbandry staff do an amazing job of just being able to make sure that our fish are happy and healthy. Now, we talked a lot about fish of both varieties, but what about our birds? We have our penguins, and maybe if we could bring up, James, our penguin webcam real quick above water, so that way we can get a chance to look at their habitat. Now, the penguins that we have here are the Magellanic penguins. They're not the traditional ones that you might think of when you're like, oh, penguins, ice, snow. These ones are found off the coast of Chile, and these penguins live on kind of like rocky cliffsides. So the exhibit that we have here emulates or models after that rocky cliffside. Now, rocks are kind of bumpy, right? And so we have all of our rocks here, and you can see we have different styles of rocks. We have, kind of more like larger cliff rocks here, and then we have some pebbles that are more embedded over here. Now, and these animals are standing on them all the time, as they would out in the wild. But a condition that some penguins get is called bumblefoot, where they end up getting sort of almost like blister underneath their foot. And it's a common treatment here at the aquarium that we have to do by looking at that foot and then getting a chance to x-ray it, making sure that it's a-okay, putting on maybe some ointment and bandages, and then just monitoring it over time. As you can see, they're on their feet a lot, waddling all around, which is pretty cute to watch. All right, I'll see if James can have a chance to show maybe some of that bumblefoot treatment footage in just a little bit. All right, here we are back at our Molina Animal Care Center, and a lot of that bumblefoot treatment gets done right on our exam table. So if you remember seeing that kind of, bright, shiny stainless steel table, that's where a lot of that happens. As he continues to look, if we kind of scoot over down, this is a secondary room right here where there's a lot of dental procedures that occur too. All right. Oh, looks like we have our x-ray up, so I'm going to step out of the way so we can get a chance to view that a little bit. There you go. So you can see some of that x-ray on the feet, just to make sure that they are doing well and that they are happy and healthy. Now, I remember James was telling me a story, I think this was a little bit before my time here at the aquarium, where there was a penguin that happened to have a bone spur. Ouch, that sounds very painful, right? But it's really hard to see using this x-ray. We do have a portable x-ray here at the aquarium, and so it's really nice to be able to bring it up to different exhibits, so that way you don't have to really stress the animal out. And so with this x-ray machine, they were able to kind of get a view of it, but what they ended up doing was actually getting an MRI at a different facility just to see whether or not that bone spur was going into any kind of tissue and seeing if there was any potential nerve damage. And so, we have a lot of things here at our Molina Animal Care Center, but sometimes we either have to take our animals to a specialty facility to get that specialty, view that we need to. Other times, we'll actually have specialists come here at the aquarium to be able to do some treatments as well. And so that's just another example of some type of healthcare that we do with our birds here. So you received another question. Does the animal husbandry department treat animal injuries? Yes, they do. So, for instance, that bumblefoot is kind of an animal injury, but we have, let's see, I'm trying to think of another example of a injury. Trying to think. So I don't know if we have any video of that, but James is telling me that we have had some rays that, might have cuts on them. And so, a lot of times we'll stitch them up, put some antibiotic ointment on them, and then, they'll either go back on exhibit or maybe they might go back for holding. It definitely kind of depends there. But there's lots of different treatments that are constantly going on. We had some of the oldest otters, here at the aquarium that were about 21, 22 year-ish of age. And normally out in the wild, you don't get otters that end up being that old. And so what they end up doing to do kind of preventative treatment and to help keep our elderly otters happy and healthy is they actually had to give them eye drops because many of them couldn't see very well due to their old age. And so it's not really an injury per se, but so cute. But it is, kind of like preventative treatment and helping the animal as it kind of gets older. So here's a great picture of that right there, eating a tasty clam. Oh, another question. Excellent. Henry is asking how many and what type of sharks are at the aquarium. So we're estimating that we have about 50-ish sharks at the aquarium. So lots of different types of sharks, or lots of different sharks overall. But we have bamboo sharks, we have black-tip reef sharks, we have zebra sharks, we have horn sharks, leopard sharks, gray reef sharks as well, sand tiger shark. I think that's the majority of them. Bonnethead. Yes, I always forget those. I really love them too, right? And so those are just some sharks that we have here. So this is just a small peek into the world of the sharks that we have. So thank you for asking, Henry. But now we've talked a lot about our sharks, our fish, but our mammals here at the aquarium also get a lot of care too. Not only do we kind of do the overall same general procedures that we would for our fish and our birds, we also do additional enrichment for our mammals. Now, our mammal tunnel, where you can actually walk through and see the seals and sea lions on each side, is a great natural enrichment for them. They're able to see people, and we can interact with them, and it's a ton of fun. As you can see, we have two of our sea lions, California sea lions, right here. But we do a lot of different trainings of different behaviors to, one, make sure that they are kind of feeling well, right? And so here's an example of one of two of our mammalogists right here that are weighing one of our harbor seals. And so, some of the behaviors are to be able to get them on a scale like this, or to just kind of hang out on a certain platform. So that way they can take measurements to make sure that, we have Kaya, who is, I don't know, toddler seal? I mean, she's several years old at this point, but she grew up here at the aquarium, and of course, as a pup, you're going to gain weight over time, and so they're able to see that tracking of weight. Many of our sea lions here also go through seasonal weight changes, and so depending upon how much they weigh, they might alter the amount of food that they're given too, depending upon those seasonal behaviors and those seasonal differences. And so this is another behavior, which is pretty awesome. It's like, opening up its mouth. And this is a great way to be able to check for dental procedures. Are the teeth on the sea lion looking good? They look black. Is that normal? And it is. That's a sign of actually good health for our sea lions. They have a natural bacteria that coats around their teeth, and that's a great way to know that they are happy and healthy too, right? And so these are just some of the additional advantages of being able to train many of our marine mammals. Now, they also do really cool things, like they'll, sprint around and swim really quickly, or maybe they might do high energy activities where they lunge into the air and come back down. And that's just another good way to be able to see, so cute, to be able to see these animals and make sure that, yeah, they do have enough energy in them to be able to do those particular actions, right? And so it's kind of the same way of me making sure that my cat is healthy. If I'm able to see it like run around and do high energy things from time to time, that's not just like tired and feeling sleepy like how I would if I was feeling sick, So it's another way to be able to observe their health. Now, if you're wondering, well, how do you even get them to come to you to begin with to see if they are healthy? Well, we do something called target training. And so here's an example of a target right down here, that blue and yellow kind of buoy on a stick. And these animals have designated spots that they are to be at. And when they see that buoy, they know that they need to kind of come on up to their spot, and then they'll get a delicious treat. In this case, some tasty shrimp. Delicious, right? And so that's how they're able to help reinforce these behaviors to make sure that our animals are happy and healthy. All right, friends, so we are just about out of time, but I want to thank you all for participating and asking really wonderful questions and engaging in our animal healthcare program today. If you do have any further questions, you're always more than welcome to send us an email at live@lbaop.org, right down here, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. All right, well, that pretty much is the end of all of our programming here at the Online Academy, but not to fret, there is more programming bright and early tomorrow, so feel free to join us then. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.